So good morning, everyone. I'm Gina Sudan, the president of the Wyoming County Chamber of Commerce, and we are talking this morning about the COVID-19 Hospitality Industry Recovery Program, otherwise known as CHIRP. This is a grant program directed to the hospitality industry, so restaurants and hotels specifically, and it is administered per county. So Wyoming County has received $303,000 roughly to administer these funds, and it will be dispersed to our restaurants. We have with us this morning Stacy Urban. She is, I don't know your title, Stacy, but she is with the Northern Tier Regional Planning and Development Commission. Stacy, if you want to just tell us your title and a little bit about who you are with Northern Tier.
I've been with Northern Tier for 7 years now, and I'm the loan program manager.
Great. Thanks so much. So as I said, the hospitality program has about $303,000 in it, and it is directed to our hospitality industry. I wanted to take a minute this morning and go over the application, where to find it, and what you need to know specifically to receive this funding. Each eligible entity can receive up to $25,000 in increments of $5,000. So starting at $5,000 and up to $25,000. So I'm going to share my screen first of all, just so I can show you where to find it. So you should see the Northern Tier website on your screen. Can you guys see that? Somebody shake their head so I know you can see the Northern Tier website. Okay, great. So this is just northerntier.org, and right here is where you find the CHIRP application guidelines. So right here, the CHIRP application guidelines on the Northern Tier website. When you click on that, it takes you right to the application. And this is what we're going to go over today with Stacy. Stacy is again, she's the loan person at Northern Tier, and she will be able to answer your questions and be directing these funds, but not making the final decisions. So don't blame her. Right? I always use those little disclaimers. So first of all, I'm going to go over a few things, and then we'll start asking Stacy as things get a little more detailed with this. The first thing is the entity has to be a for-profit entity. It cannot be publicly traded. We are specifically going over Sullivan and Wyoming County today. Each county is handled by their specific CDEO, which is their Community Economic Development Organization. So in Tioga County, it's being handled by their Tioga County Development Commission, and then in Bradford and Susquehanna County, it is being handled by their the Progress Authority in those counties. Also in Lackawanna County, it's being handled by the Scranton Chamber, and in Luzerne County, it is being handled by the Greater Wyoming Valley Chamber of Commerce, which used to be the Wilkes-Barre Chamber. So just to kind of give you, again, giving you an overview, if you do have relationships with entities that are not in Wyoming County. So first of all, you must be in operation. You must have plans to continue to be in operation for at least 1 year after you're applying for this funding. COVID-19 had to have adversely impacted your business. So we do know that, some operations were able to not have adverse effects, and this grant specifically goes to those, and we'll get into the very specifics of that. There's some other eligibility requirements that are pretty standard. You have to have fewer than 300 employees, maximum tangible net worth of 15 million, things that don't apply here in Wyoming County. And then here is the primary, and this is again why it's hospitality funding only. Your NAICS code has to have a subsector of 721 or 722. And Stacy, where could they find their NAICS code, or how do they know what their NAICS code is?
They should have it on their tax return.
Okay, perfect.
Depending on how they file is where it would be placed.
Okay, perfect. And then it has to be the food, beverage, or accommodations have to be your primary means of business generation revenue. So that
Or
means
hospitality.
Hospitality, right? So that means that if, for instance, you are a movie theater that also sells food, right? You do not qualify. But I'm sorry, I keep saying restaurants, but also bars. So if you're a bar that strictly serves alcohol, you do qualify for this as well, correct, Stacey? So I just wanted to clarify that as well. You had to have a 25% reduction in gross receipts. Stacey, here's a question that I had as I read through this. Gross receipts, does that include any of the funding that they received from other grants throughout this year, throughout 2020?
There's a section on the application on the first page, I'm going to say it is.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to share your screen, it'll ask you if you've received any of these other fundings.
Okay.
That are available, and they'll all be taken into consideration.
Yep. So here it is. So this is the application, and this is just page 1. So very standard. Did you receive this funding? Yes or no? How much? One thing I wanted to clarify is this is what we were calling the county cares funding. So this is the funding that came from the commissioners, and you applied in Wyoming County, you applied by sending an email to our county commissioners with their application process. So that's what that funding is. This funding is the funding that you had to apply through Metro Action. And then I think we all know.
No, that was through me.
Oh, that one was through you as well?
It was through Northern Tier.
Okay, I'm sorry. So Northern Tier, but I think Metro Action handled some of them. Because was that the Pennsylvania one?
That was through the PETA one.
Okay. Okay. So is the one that they applied to Metro Action, that would go here then? Okay. So I do know a few local businesses received that funding, so that would go here. So again, you don't have to include that funding in your gross receipts number up here for your, when you're considering your loss, but you do want to include it down here. Is that correct, Stacy?
You are correct.
Okay, great. Let me stop sharing screen. And Lexi, did you have a question? I saw you had raised your hand.
Yes. Does this apply to hotels?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What is your NAICS code?
I don't know that.
It should be on your tax return.
How do you phrase it? Is it NAICS?
NAICS.
Yeah, NAICS.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So it should apply to most hotels. Would it also apply to bed and breakfasts?
It really depends on their NAICS code.
Okay. Okay, very good. So that kind of takes care of the eligibility. Many have asked, well, what if I wasn't in business? Because again, you're looking at your revenue generation from prior year, and you had to have a 25% reduction in gross receipts from 2019 to 2020. So that reduction determines, again, whether or not you're eligible, so a 25% reduction. And If you were not in business for all of calendar year 2019, then they base it on quarters, correct? Did I read that correctly, Stacey? Okay. I've marked up and highlighted my whole thing here. There will be some businesses that receive priority. So businesses that receive priority are businesses that were shut down due to the governor's emergency disaster order issued on March 6th of 2020. So that was, again, most of this industry was affected by that order. Any business that had a gross receipts reduction of 50% or more in comparison to 2019 will be given priority. Again, this is not a first come, first serve. So this is truly an application. All the applications will be considered. So you want to take your time. You want to apply for this funding very thoroughly and very completely. You want to make sure that you detail the true effects of COVID-19 on your business. We talked about the increments, so it's $5,000 increments from $5,000 all the way up to $25,000 per eligible applicant. If your business also has operations in other counties, perhaps you own several locations, you need to specifically identify the gross receipts for Wyoming County or Sullivan County. Again, we're kind of talking about the two things because the applications are the same for both counties, correct? Okay. They can apply now. The application is up online right now. You can apply now. And when will the application be done, Stacey? Is there a deadline? Because I didn't see that.
15th.
June 15th? Okay. And so many of the qualifications for this do say that your eligible expenses that can be reimbursed are through June 15th. So you want to almost wait, right, Stacey? You almost want to wait a little bit to apply, do you think? Because if they're, I don't know, I was just thinking if because it says in one place, grant funds may be used for eligible expenses incurred and paid between March 1st, 2020 and up to the date of application or June 15th. So if I apply now, but I have big expenses in the next 2 or 3 months, wouldn't I want to have those be eligible as well?
Well, it's not a 2 or 3 month wait period. We have less than like 30 days right now.
Okay.
So if you know you're going to have a big expense within the next 30 days, I'd probably wait. I'm already receiving quite a few applications. So I think the major expense, what they're looking at, is that you experienced like when they first shut down until now.
Okay. I just didn't want people to not be able to use those expenses up until June, but you're saying 30 days. So from the time they apply, you have 30 days to tell them whether they've qualified or not. Is that correct?
We'll put their application together and submit it to the commissioners, and then they'll tell them if they'll be getting funding or not.
Okay. Okay. Very good. So again, Northern Tier is strictly acting as the administrator of this as far as gathering and then dispersing the funds, but the true decision makers are the county commissioners. They couldn't be with us this morning because they do have their Tuesday meeting, and I scheduled this not thinking about their meeting. So that's on me, but we will get them. If you have questions specifically for that commissioners, we can get to them. What else? Again, ordinary business expenses. So any eligible operating expenses that are under the course of your ordinary business operations are all eligible for this. I just want to make sure you can't pay for, this is much like any of the other grants. You can't pay the same eligible operating expenses that you use your PPP for or your EIDL for or any of the other grant funding that you may have received. So I just want you to keep that in mind. Just be careful and cognizant that you are using new expenses. You also cannot use this money to return capital to owners or partners or shareholders. If you lent your business money during that time, you can't pay yourself back with this funding. You can't pay subcontractors. You can't pay any 1099 employees with this funding. And you can't pay your taxes. So you can't pay any local school district, county, or federal, state or federal tax obligations with this funding. There's some others, but I don't know that they necessarily are things that you would, they didn't really catch my eye, I guess is what I'm saying. They're kind of things that you would assume you can't do. Stacey, what else should we point out through this? Again, it's not a first come, first serve, and it may take several weeks before your complete package is put together. Complete package meaning they fill out the application, you review the application, determine eligibility, you then go back to them and say, okay, I need your tax returns, your W-9, and your tax returns for 2019 and 2020 if you have them filed. If you don't have your 2020 tax return, then we're going to look at your quarterly sales tax reports. Correct?
What I'm going to request, if anybody on here that's going to apply, if you could send in just all of your information at once, so that way we can determine your eligibility at once. You'll hear from me. I'm pretty easygoing. I'll walk you through the process by all means. So if you could send in the first page, and then along with on page 2, there's that section of 1 through 4. If you could send that information in along with the W-9, I'm not sure if the 1 through 4 is on there because I don't have a copy right in front of me. Yep, if you could send in your W-9, we want number 2, if you could send in one of them, and then the 3 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
That would work perfect. That way we're not emailing back and forth 50 times and potentially losing any information.
Okay, great. What did we miss, Stacey, on any of this that they may need to know?
I'm not sure we really missed anything. I think you covered it pretty good.
Good. What questions do you all have for me, for Stacey? I think we tried to quickly summarize. It's a pretty straightforward application. I want to commend Northern Tier on putting together an application that is easy to understand, easy to fill out, very straightforward. They're not asking you, for a ton of information, some pretty straightforward things that if you've applied for any funding throughout this, you would have all ready to go. So I think that this really is a great application process, probably one of the best and easiest I've seen. So I commend Stacey and Northern Tier for that. I do want to mention a couple other things while I have you all, kind of a captive audience here today. And again, feel free to unmute yourselves and ask questions. I'm going to share my screen over here and I'm going to pull up a couple more things. One, I did send out an email regarding this late yesterday afternoon, but on April 4th, it will go into effect that the governor is increasing capacity for restaurants, other businesses, and also mass gatherings. So I was very excited to see that. You can read his full press release is right in the email that I sent yesterday. So you'll see that restaurants who are not self-certified, and we're going to talk about that certification briefly, But if you are not self-certified, you can raise your capacity to 50%. And if you are self-certified, you can raise that capacity to 75%. So it is really important that you get self-certified, and that process, again, I sent a link in my email yesterday to that, but that process is right here online. And again, I think it's pretty straightforward. It just says that, you know, you're wearing masks, that your servers are wearing masks, and that you're going to follow the rules. And then you click here to certify your business, and it walks you through, right, some pretty standard application, and you submit this. It's really important that we do this. Again, it's a difference of 50 to 75% capacity. And the last I checked, there were not many of our local restaurants had done that. So it is pretty important that we make that shift and just go out to this website, certify your restaurant, and hopefully you can get your capacity increased to that 75% by April 4th. That'll be huge for our restaurant industry. So I wanted to let you all know that. Any other questions, comments, things that we need to discuss this morning? Stacey's cat. The joys of working from home. It's okay. We've all been there.
Gina, is LeaderCast sold out?
LeaderCast is not sold out. So we have a LeaderCast event coming up on March 27th. We issued a in-person as well as the option to watch it virtually. So it is not sold out. You can still join us. We do have a small crowd, socially distanced, that will be gathering at Clover Knoll, 511 Mile Road. We will participate in some of the sessions with LeaderCast, which are pre-recorded sessions. And then we'll have some exercises and activities to take place in between each of the speakers. So it'll be a nice half-day session, but a good way to kind of get out and start seeing people, which I know many are anxious to do. So if you have some time, that is Saturday, March 27th from 9 to noon. And lunch will be provided as well. So we hope you can join us for that. Thanks, Lexi. Anything else, guys? Any questions from our restaurant industry or hospitality industry that's on the phone with us? Kevin, do you have any questions? Kevin is with the Wyoming County Examiner, so he did a great job writing up our first session that we had for Restart, Rebound, Rebuild Part 2 last week, and that was actually put in the Scranton Times. So I wanted to thank Kevin for that. The front page of the business section of the Scranton Times. So you did a great job with that story. Thanks, Kevin.
Kevin, could you share your information with me? I have a press release I'd like to get out to you about our water and wastewater treatment over in Lemon Township.
This is Erica from the Dietrich Theater. I was wondering if there was any funding that you knew of coming down the pipe that would be for those who are in the hospitality business but don't necessarily qualify for this grant.
I don't right offhand. Lauren, do you know of anything?
I don't. So there was the SBA had something out but I don't think you qualified, did you, Erica? I think we looked into this.
Or we don't qualify for this, but we qualify for like the shuttered venue.
Okay, yeah, the shuttered venue is what I was thinking of. That's the only one I'm aware of.
Okay, thank you.
And it looks like the chat isn't available. So Kevin and Lexi, I'll connect you offline via email right after this. It looks like I didn't turn the chat on for this webinar, so I apologize for that. And if anybody else needs a connection, either to Stacy, her information is available online on that Northern Tier website. But if anybody needs any connections virtually, I can do that, just ask. I want to thank you all. Thank you, Stacy, for joining us from home. So last minute, I do appreciate that. Thank you for joining us this morning. Again, this webinar is recorded. We will publish this in our Thursday newsletter, and it'll be up on our YouTube channel probably by the end of the day today. So I thank you very much for joining us. And again, if there's anything the Chamber can do for you, or you need help researching grants that you are eligible for, please give us a call, because we are here to help. Thanks so much, and have a great day, everyone.
Bye, have a good one.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.